Think your testosterone dropped just because you turned 60? Think again. Some 75-year-old men have higher testosterone than guys in their 30s, and it's not genetics. The difference? They learned something no one ever taught you, until now. Let me be blunt. Your testosterone didn't vanish because you hit 60. It declined because no one showed you how to protect it. Not your doctor, not the media, and certainly not your younger self. And that slow, silent drop, it's been quietly stealing your strength, your drive, your energy, and the man you remember being. I'm Dr. James. For more than 30 years, I've helped thousands of men reclaim the vitality they thought was gone for good. This message is for the men society tends to overlook. The warriors, the builders, the fathers, now told to step aside and grow old. But I'm here to tell you, it doesn't have to be that way. Because here's the truth. I've seen men in their mid-70s with more testosterone than guys half their age. Why? Because they understood something I'm about to share with you. In the next few minutes, I'm going to reveal 5 natural, science-backed strategies to restore your testosterone, sharpen your mind, and reignite that fire inside you. And trust me, secret number 4 is one most men miss. But it can change everything. Before we dive in, if this message resonates with you, take a moment to subscribe and hit the notification bell. I share clear, powerful health advice made, especially for men like you. And if this video helps you in any way, drop a 1 in the comments. If not, drop a 0. Your feedback helps me serve you better. Now let's begin with the first secret. And this one's huge, because what most men call aging is actually just neglect. Your body hasn't given up on you. It's simply waiting for a reason to fight again. Secret number 1. Muscle isn't lost, it's abandoned. Most men believe that once you turn 60, your muscles just vanish like steam from a kettle. You see the softness around your waist, you feel the heaviness in your steps, and you think, well, I guess this is what getting old feels like. But that belief? It's not only misleading, it's dangerous. The truth is, your muscles didn't disappear because of your age. They faded because your body stopped getting the signal to keep them. Muscle works on a use it or lose it system. When we're younger, we move all the time without thinking. Yard work, playing sports, chasing kids, lifting things, walking, everywhere. We were constantly sending the message. These muscles are needed. But as we age, especially in retirement, we slow down. We sit more. We avoid movement because of aches, routines, or simple convenience. And those vital signals, they fade. Your body, always trying to conserve energy, says, if we're not using these muscles, let's shut them down. That process is called sarcopenia, the gradual loss of muscle mass. It's common with age, but it's not irreversible. Muscle remains incredibly responsive, even in your 60s, 70s, and beyond. I've seen men in their late 70s regain strength they hadn't felt in decades. And all it took was reactivating something I call muscle memory. You don't need to lift heavy weights. You don't need a fancy gym or an expensive trainer. What you need is consistent, intentional movement. Start small. A 15-minute walk every morning, even just around the block. Maybe add light ankle weights or carry water bottles in your hands. These simple moves whisper to your body, I'm still here. I still need this strength. One of my patients, David, 69 years old, came to me after a fall that shook his confidence. He told me, Doc, I feel weak. I can't get up from the floor without grabbing onto something. We didn't start with machines. We started with chair squats. Holding the back of a chair, slow, controlled movements, 3 sets of 10. That's it. After 4 weeks, he noticed he was getting out of bed faster. After 2 months, he was carrying groceries up the stairs without losing his breath. And when we checked his testosterone again, it had risen, from 310 to 480. No injections, no pills, just movement. What most men don't realize is that your muscles are one of your body's best testosterone boosters. Even light resistance training sends a message to your body. We've got work to do. Power up. And your body listens. Muscle doesn't just boost testosterone. It also helps regulate blood sugar, improves balance, protects your joints, and even sharpens your mind. But beyond biology, There's something deeper. Rebuilding your strength restores your dignity. I've seen men who couldn't tie their shoes suddenly regain the flexibility and control to do it again. And they don't just feel stronger. They stand taller. They laugh more. They walk with purpose. And that confidence? It changes everything. How they sit, how they speak, how they reconnect with their partners. You might be thinking, it's too late for me. Let me tell you clearly, it's not. I've seen men in their 80s regain balance, mobility, and strength that shocked their doctors. It starts with one decision. Stop abandoning your body and start partnering with it. This isn't about punishment. It's not about chasing youth. It's about reclaiming vitality for something far more important than looks. To lift your grandchild without wincing. To climb stairs without fear. To wake up and feel capable again. So if you've been living with the belief that muscle loss is just part of aging, it's time to rewrite that story. Your muscles aren't gone. They're just waiting. And the moment you start moving with purpose, your body will respond faster than you think. But here's the twist. Movement isn't the only thing quietly draining your testosterone. In fact, there's something sitting in most American kitchens right now that's doing far more damage than aging ever could. Chances are, you had some of it this morning. Let's talk about that next. If you're still with me and these insights resonate, drop a 1 in the comments to let me know we're in this together. Now let's keep going, because what's coming next might surprise you even more. In the previous section, we uncovered a truth most men never hear. Your muscles aren't disappearing because of age, but because they've been left unused and forgotten. And just like unused muscles, there's something else that can slowly shut down without you even realizing it. Your hormones. More specifically, your testosterone. And one of the greatest threats to your masculinity isn't aging or genetics. It's what you've been putting on your plate every single day. Secret 2. Sugar is stealing your manhood for years. The message was clear. Fat is the villain. You were told that eating eggs would raise your cholesterol, butter would clog your arteries, and red meat would slow you down. So, like millions of well-intentioned men, you cut the fat. You started your mornings with low-fat yogurt, grabbed granola bars for snacks, and sipped fruit juices stamped with a heart-healthy label. You truly believed you were doing your body a favor. But while you were trying to protect your heart, something far more essential to your identity as a man was quietly under siege: your testosterone. The real enemy hasn't been fat, it's been sugar all along. And it's not just the obvious sources: candy bars, sodas, pastries. It's the hidden sugars, the ones buried in your cereal, your salad dressing, your protein bars, your flavored yogurts, even your so-called healthy sauces. These sugars often come with friendly-sounding names like glucose, fructose, corn syrup, maltodextrin, and even natural sweetener. But their effect is far from harmless. Sugar doesn't just make you gain weight. It destabilizes your entire hormonal balance. Each time you eat sugar, your insulin levels spike, your cortisol, the stress hormone, rises, and your testosterone drops, and not just briefly. It can remain suppressed for hours. In fact, a study conducted by Massachusetts General Hospital found that a single dose of sugar could reduce a man's testosterone by as much as 25%, with the effect lasting over 2 hours. Now imagine starting your day with sweetened coffee, a bowl of cereal, or toast with jam. You're beginning your morning not with strength, but with your testosterone in retreat. I've seen this play out over and over again in my practice. Men in their 60s, 70s, and even 80s walk into my office complaining of fatigue, increased belly fat, poor sleep, and fading interest in intimacy. They think it's just getting old. But when we look at their food logs, a pattern appears. Sugar is quietly sneaking into nearly every meal. Not through desserts, but through foods they thought were helping them stay healthy. Let me share the story of Ron. He's a 66-year-old retired high school principal who came to me and said, "Doc, I feel like I'm fading." He was active. He walked every day, took his vitamins, played with his grandkids, but something wasn't right. His energy was low, he felt mentally foggy, and he couldn't shed the stubborn fat around his midsection. His testosterone levels were in the low 300s, not alarmingly low, but certainly not optimal. When we reviewed his diet, it became clear. For breakfast, he had a banana, a glass of orange juice, and a whole grain English muffin with jelly. For lunch, a turkey sandwich with sweetened mustard and a low-fat yogurt. Dinner? Pasta, a glass of wine, and maybe a scoop of sorbet. On paper, it didn't sound terrible, but his blood sugar was on a roller coaster, and his hormones were paying the price. We made just a few key changes. He swapped orange juice for black coffee or water, replaced the muffin and jelly with eggs cooked in olive oil, paired with half an avocado. We brought healthy fats back into his diet: nuts, fatty fish, real butter, and full-fat dairy. Within 6 weeks, everything changed. His energy returned. His testosterone rose nearly 100 points, and that stubborn belly fat he had fought for years finally began to shrink. Here's why that matters. Your hormones are built on fat, not sugar. Testosterone, in particular, is synthesized from cholesterol. That's why low-fat diets leave so many older men feeling depleted. Not just physically, but emotionally. When sugar suppresses testosterone, your motivation sinks, your memory dulls, your recovery slows. You stop feeling like yourself, and after enough time, you forget what that even means. Now, cutting sugar doesn't mean cutting out joy. It simply means getting smarter. Read labels carefully. If an ingredient ends in O's or sugar is one of the first 3 listed, reconsider. Replace sugary drinks with water, green tea, or black coffee. Choose whole, natural foods over anything that comes in a shiny package. And most importantly, don't fear healthy fats. They're not the enemy. They're your ally. Something powerful happens when a man reclaims control of his diet. It's not just about the weight he loses. It's about the strength he regains. His grip gets firmer, his voice steadier, his presence more grounded. There's a clarity in his eyes, a confidence in his step, a quiet, steady fire that returns when testosterone begins to rise again. And yet, even for men who are eating clean, staying active, and cutting sugar, I often hear the same frustration. I'm doing everything right, but I still don't feel like myself. If that sounds familiar, don't worry. The missing link might not be in what you're eating during the day, but what you're missing during the night. Secret 3. Deep sleep is deep strength. Let's talk about sleep. Not just how long you're in bed, but the quality of the sleep you're getting. Because if your nights are restless, your testosterone levels are suffering, whether you know it or not. Most men think that just being in bed for 7 or 8 hours is enough, but it's not. Your body produces the majority of its testosterone during the deepest stages of sleep, not during light napping, not when you're tossing and turning, but during deep, slow-wave sleep, the kind that leaves you waking up with clarity, energy, and a strong sense of readiness. As we age, this kind of sleep becomes harder to achieve. Stress builds, sleep becomes fragmented, and our deepest, most restorative cycles get interrupted. When deep sleep disappears, testosterone production follows. I've heard it from so many men in their 60s and 70s who say, "Doc, I'm in bed all night but wake up tired every morning." They doze off watching TV, wake up at 2 a.m. to use the bathroom, then lie awake thinking about work, family, or things that happened 30 years ago. This chronic pattern of broken rest doesn't just make you tired, it leaves your hormones depleted. And here's a fact most men don't know. Even one poor night of sleep can drop your testosterone by up to 15% the next day. Now imagine what happens when this becomes a pattern. Weeks, months, or even years of inconsistent shallow rest. No wonder so many men feel fatigued, irritable, soft around the waist, and disinterested in things that once lit them up, even when their blood work doesn't look that bad. Sleep isn't optional. It's not a luxury. It's hormone therapy, built into your biology. And while some sleep disruptions are caused by physical conditions like sleep apnea, which is far more common in older men than many realize, most are behavioral and environmental. Too much light exposure before bed, late-night phone scrolling, irregular sleep schedules, heavy meals too close to bedtime. Even the simple act of worrying about sleep can make things worse. That's why I encourage all of my older male patients to treat sleep as a sacred ritual. Create a sleep sanctuary. Remove TVs from the bedroom. Stop screen time after 9 p.m. Avoid caffeine and alcohol late in the day. Lower the room temperature. install blackout curtains. And most importantly, go to bed and wake up at the same time. Every single day, even on weekends. That consistency trains your body to sleep deeply again. Let me introduce you to Jack, a 72-year-old retired Navy officer. When he first came to see me, he hadn't had a proper night's rest in over a decade. He was snoring, waking up 5 or 6 times and always groggy in the morning. He assumed it was just part of getting older. But we did a sleep study and confirmed he had mild sleep apnea. From there, we adjusted his sleeping position, made anti-inflammatory changes to his diet, and created a consistent nighttime routine. Chamomile tea, reading a physical book, and lights out at 10 p.m. sharp. A few weeks later, his wife reported something remarkable. He'd stopped snoring. And Jack? He looked at me with wide, clear eyes and said, "Doc, it's like my brain got switched back on. That's the power of deep sleep. It's not just about resting your body, it's about resetting your entire system. When your sleep improves, everything improves. Testosterone rises, cortisol falls, mood stabilizes, fat melts, memory sharpens. You don't need pills. You need rhythm, peace, and the right environment. And the good news? No matter how out of sync your sleep has been, your body is always ready to reset. Deep sleep is one of the fastest, most effective ways to boost natural testosterone, especially for men who are already doing the right things, but still feel off. But even with great sleep and a clean diet, there's one more hormone trigger that often gets ignored. And it's not something you'll find on a food label or in a workout plan. It's something much more human. Connection, touch, and intimacy. What I'm about to share next might completely change the way you think about relationships and your hormones. Because Secret 4 isn't just about the body. It's about the soul. If you're still with me and these insights are helping you, drop a 1 in the comments to let me know you're tuned in and ready. Because what comes next might be the most important part of all. Secret 4. Touch builds. Testosterone after optimizing your movement, your nutrition, and your sleep. There's still one crucial element that many men forget. Connection. Not the abstract kind, but real, physical closeness. Because one of the most powerful natural boosters of testosterone doesn't come from a dumbbell, a supplement, or a steak. It comes from something far more human. Touch. Most men, when they think of testosterone, picture workouts, protein shakes, maybe hormone therapy. But what they often overlook is that consistent, meaningful physical touch is one of the most potent and overlooked ways to increase testosterone naturally. This isn't about fantasy. It's about chemistry. When you hug someone, hold hands, kiss your partner, or simply rest your hand on a loved one's shoulder, your body releases oxytocin, a hormone often known as the bonding chemical. And oxytocin is far more than just an emotional amplifier. It directly affects your hormonal balance by lowering stress hormones like cortisol, which in turn helps your body restore and stabilize testosterone levels. It creates a fertile internal environment for growth, resilience, and vitality. The research is compelling. Men who engage in regular, affectionate touch report more stable moods, deeper sleep, improved heart function, and higher testosterone. And it doesn't have to be sexual. A long, sincere hug. A gentle hand on someone's back. Even petting a dog or cat can shift your body chemistry toward healing and balance. The key isn't intensity. It's presence. Real, intentional contact that says, "I see you. I feel you. I'm here." But here's the reality many older men face. That touch, that daily physical connection, often disappears without warning. After decades of working, providing, solving problems, and raising families, many men arrive at a quieter, more isolated chapter of life. Children grow up and leave. Close friendships thin out. A spouse may be distant, ill, or gone. And with that, the daily rituals of closeness, hugging someone good morning, sitting with a hand resting on a thigh, leaning into a familiar embrace, fade away. And when touch fades, testosterone doesn't just drop. The very sense of aliveness begins to shrink. Let me tell you about Arthur. He was 74 years old, widowed, and had been living alone for 6 years when he came to see me. Not because of pain or any obvious illness, but because, as he put it, I just feel numb. Not depressed exactly, just flat. We ran tests. His testosterone was predictably low, but the numbers didn't move me nearly as much as his story. He talked about how he used to hold his wife's hand every morning over coffee, how they didn't speak much sometimes, but the quiet presence of that touch grounded him. He said, "I didn't think I'd miss being touched this much." We talked through possibilities. I encouraged him to join a local senior center, to volunteer with animals, to spend more time with his grandkids, and to get regular massages, small steps to bring human touch back into his life. 3 months later, Arthur walked into my office different, brighter, lighter. His testosterone had improved modestly, but his spirit had transformed. He said, "Doc, I didn't need a new prescription. I just needed people." That's what men often miss. Testosterone is not just about performance, it's about presence. When someone holds you, when someone smiles at you and touches your arm, your body receives a message. You still matter. And when you feel like you matter, something shifts. Hormones align. Energy returns. Your biology wakes up and says, "We're still part of something. We're still needed." This isn't weakness, it's strength. Seeking connection, allowing touch, asking for closeness. These aren't signs of decline. They are signals of renewal. Whether through family, friends, pets, or new relationships, make space for physical connection in your life. At first, it might feel foreign, but your body remembers. Your biology knows. And once you reintroduce real, caring, human contact, it will reward you in ways you can feel. Still, even if you're moving daily, eating clean, sleeping deeply, and reconnecting with others, there's one final factor that determines whether everything you've done will last, and it's the one most men ignore. It doesn't come from the outside. It lives entirely in your own head. Secret 5. Your mind can shut down your manhood. What if the most powerful force affecting your testosterone isn't your workout, your sleep, or your diet, but your thoughts? Every man has a voice inside his head. That internal narrator. The one that speaks when the alarm goes off in the morning, when you look in the mirror, when no one else is around. That voice can either empower you or destroy you. It can whisper strength, or it can drain your spirit. And for far too many men, especially as they age, that voice becomes harsh, critical, and deeply limiting. Here's what most people don't realize. Testosterone doesn't just respond to your food or physical activity, it responds to your mental environment. Chronic stress, negative beliefs, lingering guilt and self-doubt all elevate cortisol, the hormone of survival. And as cortisol rises, testosterone falls. It's simple biology. The body doesn't prioritize growth when it feels under threat, even if the threat isn't physical, even if it's just you telling yourself, "I'm too old," or "It's too late," or "I'll never feel strong again." Your body believes it, and when the body believes it, it stops fighting. It shifts into survival mode instead of performance mode. Muscles don't grow. Energy doesn't return. Desire doesn't spark. You're stuck in a low gear, even if everything else in your life seems healthy. Take Harold, a 70-year-old retired firefighter, strong as stone in his prime, now burned out and confused. His testosterone was rock bottom, and nothing he tried seemed to help. "Doc," he told me, "I've always been tough. I've pushed through everything. But lately it's like I'm running on fumes." And the more we talked, the more I saw the real source of his fatigue wasn't physical. It was emotional. Years of suppressed grief, survivor's guilt, and the slow loss of purpose had taken a toll on his spirit. He wasn't just tired. He was carrying pain. So we started small, daily breath work, 5 minutes of morning journaling. I asked him to write what he was grateful for, and one small win he wanted to create that day. I encouraged him to speak new truths aloud. "I'm still strong. I'm not done. I can still grow." These weren't empty affirmations. They were quiet challenges to the destructive stories he'd been telling himself for years. Within 6 weeks, Harold changed. His blood pressure stabilized. He walked more. He laughed more. His testosterone improved. Not because of medication, but because his mind finally sent his body a new signal. It's safe to rebuild. The mind and body are not separate. They are in constant dialogue. Every belief is a chemical command. If you wake up telling yourself, you're too far gone, your biology obeys. But if you dare to rewrite that story, even slightly, you create space for something miraculous. Healing. One of the tools I often recommend is visualization. Not wishful thinking, but focused mental rehearsal. Picture yourself moving with strength. See yourself climbing stairs without pain. Imagine waking up clear-headed, capable, fully alive. Your brain doesn't fully distinguish between what's imagined vividly and what's real. And that mental rehearsal activates the same areas as physical performance. It primes your hormones for action. Because in the end, your testosterone isn't just a number. It's a reflection of how much life you still allow yourself to feel. And that starts not with your body, but with your beliefs. You don't have to be perfect. You don't need to fake it. But you must be intentional. Respect yourself. Challenge the voice that says it's too late. Don't wait for the world to prove you matter. Decide that you do. Act like you do. Because when you do, everything else follows. Now that you've unlocked these 5 forgotten truths, movement, nutrition, sleep, connection, and mindset, you hold the blueprint for becoming the strongest, most grounded version of yourself at any age. But insight alone isn't enough. What you do next will shape the future you wake up in. And in the final section, I'll show you exactly how to apply these 5 pillars in your life, step by step. If you've come this far, I already know one thing: you're ready. Let's finish strong. The final word is waiting. Let's return to something simple, something quietly powerful. The idea that being close to someone isn't just comforting, it's biologically essential. You see, human connection is more than emotional support. It's a biological signal to your body that says, you belong, you're safe, you matter. In those brief, quiet moments of touch, of being seen and embraced, your body responds with a cascade of chemicals that calm your nervous system, stabilize your hormones, and lift your spirit. These aren't abstract feelings. They are measurable shifts. And they remind us of a deeper truth. We were never meant to walk through life alone. You are not too old to reach out. You are not too far gone to feel again. Even if touch has grown distant, even if your world feels smaller, you still have the power to connect, and connection is healing. And now we arrive at the mind, the command center, the part of you that no one sees, yet the part that shapes everything. What you whisper to yourself when the lights go out. That internal dialogue is the force that either shuts you down or brings you back to life. You can eat all the right foods, move daily, and sleep a perfect 8 hours every night. But if the voice in your head tells you you're finished, your body will believe it. Your cells will respond to that quiet resignation. Your energy, your drive, your identity will begin to fade, not because of age, but because of belief. So here's your challenge now. Choose to believe something better. Believe that you are still in the process of becoming. That maybe your best years won't look like your 20s or your 30s, but they can be filled with even more meaning, depth, and purpose, if you live them with intention. I don't say this as just a doctor. I say this as a man who has walked alongside thousands of others just like you. I've sat across from men who felt invisible, who had been told, subtly or directly, that they had nothing left to give. I've looked into their tired eyes, and I've seen those eyes light up again. Not because of some miracle cure, but because, for the first time in a long time, they realized their story wasn't over. I've had patients come to me ashamed of the years they neglected their health. Men who felt too far behind, too broken, or just too tired to try again. And I've watched them rise, not overnight, not effortlessly, but steadily. Because at some point, they stopped waiting for someone else to save them. They stopped waiting for the perfect day, and they simply took one step forward. Maybe that step for you is small. A walk around the block, cooking a better breakfast, going to bed on time, reaching out to someone you've drifted from. Or maybe it's as small as writing down one thing you're grateful for, even if it feels like there's not much on the list yet. Whatever it is, what matters most is that you start. Not tomorrow, not next month, today. Because time moves quickly. And the sooner you begin, the sooner your body, your energy, your confidence, your very sense of self can begin to return. And if there's a voice inside whispering, But what if I fail? Here's what I want you to know. You already haven't. You're here. You watched. You listened. You learned. And now, you hold tools in your hands that most men will never pick up. The only failure would be walking away and doing nothing. Everything else, every step, every attempt, is progress. So here's my final word to you. Not as a doctor, but as a man who respects where you've been and believes deeply in where you're going. You are not your lab results. You are not your past. You are not too old, too broken, or too late. You are still here. You are still breathing. And as long as that's true, you have a future worth fighting for. Now go take it.